everyone, and welcome to a video on the Constructor Criticism YouTube channel. I'm Spencer, host of Constructor Criticism and Limited Time Only, two podcasts about getting better at Magic the Gathering. Today I'm excited to bring you a deck tech on Blue, Black Control, and Standard, and we're going to talk about just the deck, what I've done a little bit different, not too different, like it's actually pretty close to stock. I think that most of the lists right now are going to be really close to each other, and I think that that's because the deck is in a good place for where the metagame is at. Now, the GP today may kind of change that. Kind of seeing what comes out of that. I think that whether it's some kind of tokens decks or things like that that come out of this GP, you might change some of the things that are going on. But let's get started. So in the main deck, we have two the Scarab God. This is a card that you'll typically play on 9 mana so that you can activate it when it comes in, as you're going to be playing against a lot of Vraska's Contempts in this format. Now, the other decks, the other removal spells that you kind of have to worry about with this are Struggle to Survive, Ixalan's Binding, and Cast Out. People are playing a lot of those effects to try and get the most that they can out of this. The most removals that they can, specifically for Scarab God, so that it doesn't get out of hand for them. We have 4 Torrential Gearhulks. This card's been pretty good. I was trying a list that had 3 Torrential Gearhulks and 1 Ravenous Chupacabra, and I did like that a little bit on Moto, but I think that if I were to play this at a GP or a PPTQ, I would definitely just go with the 4 Torrential Gearhulks. Just because I want to have the right number of win cons. For some reason, people started bringing in Lost Legacy and naming Scarab God, and because of that, I would want as many Torrential Gearhulks as possible. We had 2 Search for Azcanta. This is a card that I've liked to play 3 of, but I've cut back to 2, just because I want to fit other stuff into the deck. Card is very good. Obviously, when you flip it and start searching for those spells, it creates a really sweet advantage that, like, I don't know that I've seen in a long time from a control deck. That's why this card obviously sees modern and legacy play also. We do have the 4 Censor. I think that if you were going to cut a card and move something around, a Censor is a fine one to do it with. You could play 3 Censor and move this to be basically anything else you wanted. So that's just what's in there now, but I think that I like that it has the cycling, and the card is very, very good on the draw in this format. People tap out quite a bit. We have 1 Consign to Oblivion. I've tried a lot of things in this slot, and honestly, I think Consign to Oblivion is actually really good in this deck. I've been really surprised at how often you get to use both sides of this card. And just having that return on land permanent to its owner's hand has been super powerful. There was a game where I had a Scarab God under an Ixalan's Binding. I was able to consign the Ixalan's Binding away, Oblivion, getting rid of the Ixalan's Binding for good. And that's just something that you don't usually get out of blue-black control decks, is it a way to deal with enchantments that way. So having that 1 Consign to Oblivion has been really powerful. We have 3 Disallow in this deck. This is a 3-2 split between Disallow and Supreme Will. Disallow, I think that if you were to cut a Censor, you could play another Disallow. You could also cut a Supreme Will. I really liked this split. It makes your mana a little bit better, not like significantly better, but just having a couple of Supreme Wills for the early game and then Disallows for the late game has been really good. I know that one of my teammates, Mason Clark, has also really liked that split, so it's something that we've really enjoyed. I have 1 Essence Scatter in the main. This is just another way for you to answer opposing Scarab Gods, other than your Vraska's Contempts. It's also just an early play against some of the more aggressive decks, and a great thing to have against decks, like Green Black Snake. So we have 4 Fatal Push. This is, pretty necessary in this format. I think it's the best 1 mana removal spell in the format by a significant margin. So you want to have as many as you can have, so that you don't get overrun by aggro decks. It's also quite good against the snake decks. So we have a 4-1 split between Glimmer of Genius and Hieroglyphic Illumination. I think Glimmer of Genius you want more of because you have the 4 of Torrential Gearhulks. Hieroglyphic Illumination, while still quite good with Torrential Gearhulk, is you can cycle it on the front end and bring it back on the back end. It's still really good, and I like that we get a little bit of extra cycle. But you're really digging for specific cards in a control deck, so that scry is really powerful. So I would continue with the 4-1 split there. I have 2 Moment of Craving in the main. I know a lot of lists will play as many as 3 of this card in the main. As the format diversifies, I don't think you can play as many of these in the main as you typically would. On MTGO, there's a ton of mono red, and because of that, you want as many of these as possible. But I think you need to diversify your answers just a little bit if you're going to a GP or a PPTQ. We have 4 Vraska's Contempt is kind of our last spell in the deck. This is really important just between Hazoret, Scarab God, you know, being able to kill Verdurous, Gearhulks, and other stuff like that, I think that Vraska's Contempt plays a huge role in that. We have 26 lands, 4 Drowned Catacomb, 2 Evolving Wilds, 4 Fetid Pool, 2 Field of Ruin, 1 Ifnir Deadlands, 2 Ipnu Rivulet, 4 Island, 2 Submerged Boneyard, and 5 Swamps. I have had games where I've activated Ifnir Deadlands multiple times between it and Ipnir Rivulet. And one other thing is I was trying a Scavenger Ground main in this deck, which if you don't want to Field of Ruins, I think playing one Scavenger Grounds can also work. And yeah, kind of just splitting up either the type of spell ends that you have. Ipnu Rivulet I think is really important. I know a lot of the blue black lists aren't playing it right now, but I think it really helps you against some of the other decks. Specifically things like Approach of the Second Sons and stuff like that. The sideboard is pretty easy. It's 2 Deadeye Tracker, 4 Glint-Sleeve Siphoner, 2 more Moment of Craving, 3 Negate, 1 Bontu's Last Reckoning, 2 Duress, and 1 Golden Demise. So the sweepers are for tokens, and the Bontus can come in against some other stuff. The Glint-Sleeve Siphoners, the Negates, the Duresses are for the Control Mirror. The Deadeye Trackers, they're for the God Pharaoh's Gift, the Graveyard style decks. The sideboard is very, very linear because I think that the deck itself is actually quite linear for a control deck. So just knowing exactly what your matchups need to look like and what you bring stuff in against is really important. So that is it for Blue Black Control this week. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything that you have. I really have enjoyed playing this deck. It's one of the decks that I think is really well positioned because people are trying to go blue black mid range, they're trying to go snake and things like that, and so this deck can shine. So thank you everybody for watching. I'm going to see you guys all next time.